Good evening. It's Tuesday, the 6th of December, and it's time for the news on RIK 2. President Anastasiades has said that his decision to resume negotiations after the Montpellerin deadlock was an act of courage to avert a deadlock that could lead to unpredictable fait accompli. He dismissed opposition criticism that he surrendered to Turkish demands, stressing that his decision was not a cowardly one, but a bold one. In remarks last night, Anastasiades said that the choice was between stagnation and further deadlocks or continuing the talks. He added that he chose the negotiations in the face of the danger over 26,000 settlers from Turkey to be given the so-called citizenship of the pseudo-state in the occupied part of Cyprus. He pledged to work hard in the coming weeks so that the settlement will meet the expectations and address the concerns of both communities in Cyprus. The president assured that he will not call the people to vote in a plebiscite on a solution plan that will not meet the expectation of the Greek Cypriots, bearing in mind their concerns as a result of the continuing Turkish occupation. Turkish Cypriot leader Mustafa Akinci today met European Union officials presenting his views on the ongoing negotiations for a solution of the Cyprus problem. Akinci met with European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker and the President of the European Parliament, Martin Schulz. Commission spokesman Margaritis Skinas said the European officials discussed with Akinci the dynamics which have developed in the process for a Cyprus solution. Akinci also had a short meeting with Foreign Affairs Commissioner Federica Mogherini and also with United States Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs, Victoria Nuland. Finance Minister Haris Georgiades has said that the Eurogroup has given the go-ahead to Cyprus to approve its 2017 budget despite reservations that it will be outside the draft budgetary plans laid down to safeguard fiscal discipline by Eurozone member countries. The Eurogroup and the European Commission yesterday urged Cyprus to adopt significant additional measures to meet its medium-term budgetary objectives, but included in the countries which were found to be consistent with the debt rule compliance. But it also adopted an earlier assessment that Cyprus's budget will end with a 1.4% deficit, well above the required balance of nil deficit. Georgiades said that the budget deficits will be negligible and assured his Eurogroup colleagues that additional measures will be taken if their projections prove to be correct. Eurogroup President Jeroen Dijsselbloem said that Cyprus will be asked to take additional measures only if the situation of a structural deviation arises. Parliament continued its debate on the 2017 budget for a second day today, with deputies making speeches on specific provisions. Several amendments are expected to be tabled, mostly in the form of blocking some items, meaning that a further decision by Parliament will be required before the money provided in the budget can be spent. The debate will continue tomorrow afternoon and is expected to be concluded late at night with a vote. The budget is expected to be passed by a majority in the 56-member chamber as three parties ruling the C, Opposition Vigo and Citizens Alliance parties commanding 30 seats said they will vote for the budget. Left-wing Opposition Girl Party said it will vote against the budget. The budget provides for a revenue of €6,964,000,000 and for an expenditure of €7,060,000,000, leaving a deficit of just €96 million. Cypriot authorities today intercepted yet another boatload of refugees believed to be Syrians as they were approaching the Cypriot coast of Bolis dis Chrysochous. Police said that 26 people, among them 12 women, of whom one is pregnant, and 2 infants were aboard a speedboat which had sailed from the southern coast of Turkey. The refugees were led to the fishing port of Latchi, and later they were led to a local police station for processing. After processing, they will be taken to a refugee camp at Gokino Trimithian in Nicosia. Turkish Cypriot workers went on a 24-hour general strike today, the second in 7 days, in protest of a road accident in which 2 16-year-old girl students and the driver of a bus were killed a week ago. The protesters demand daylight saving time to be applied in line with the European Union countries, saying the occupation regime kept in line with Turkey and it was a factor which contributed to the cause of the accident as the students went to school in the morning when it was still dark. The so-called government changed working hours by pushing the opening of schools and public offices 30 minutes later, but all major trade unions rejected the arrangement. Protesting workers gathered outside the office of the so-called Prime Minister demanding the resignation of the so-called government. 3 people, including 2 women, were arrested during skirmishes with policemen. 1 policeman and an official of the teachers' union were injured in the clashes with police. The Attorney General has filed a Nolle prosequi in the case of a Limassol businessman accused for possessing 142 kilograms of pure cocaine. The action means that any criminal proceedings against the businessman will be stopped indefinitely. He had protested his innocence, claiming that he was not aware of the presence of the narcotics in the sealed fuel tanks of generators which he had imported through the port of Limassol. The court, which would try the case, said that after the filing of the Nolle prosequi, the businessman was cleared of all charges. The businessman was not acquitted, meaning that he may be charged if evidence of complicity emerges in the future. The British government has started presenting its case before the Supreme Court on the procedure to be followed in applying the Brexit decision of the referendum in June. The government is seeking to annul a High Court decision that the government needed a positive vote in Parliament before triggering Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty for the termination of Britain's participation in the European Union. The arguments presented by the government lawyers are connected to royal prerogatives going back several centuries, which are exercised by the government. The Supreme Court has set aside 4 days to hear arguments from both sides and consider its decision. And now a look at tomorrow's weather. It will start out fine in the morning tomorrow, but cloud at times may lead to isolated rain in the west and over mountain areas, which will later spread to other regions. Winds will be light to moderate, coming from sea directions, force 3 to 4. The sea will be calm to slight. Temperatures will reach 19 Celsius inland, 20 in coastal areas and 9 over the mountains. It will be mostly fine over the next 3 days, with temperatures initially dropping but going up again as of Saturday. That's all from us today. Join us tomorrow again for more news in English. Have a very good evening.